Let's unmask mindfulness and its unheard of perspectives on vulnerability. That did not fall trippingly off the tongue, did it? This morning's lesson is drawn from the meditation manual I'm currently writing, Easy Enlightenment. Did I mention it's free? Because I'm an idiot. Anywho. So we're talking about mindfulness. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are effortlessly and automatically accessing our sympathetic nervous system. Ensconced, found not within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears, but rather ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord, the area that corresponds or correlates with our ribcage. It evolved not to support either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration. Instead, it evolved to simply perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Vulnerability, it would seem, is the price we pay for mindfulness. And it is this vulnerability that is expressed graphically in the nudity of the meditation archetype described in Sanskrit as Samantabhadra, Samantabhadri, Karma Mudra. But wait, if we're not supposed to actively concentrate upon our breath, then what are we supposed to do with it? Our relationship with our breath becomes that of a piano student to their metronome. When we notice our body breathing in, we could silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And as we relax, or as we notice our body exhaling, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Together as a team, let us play with this exercise for about 12 breaths or so. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent more than 8 hours a day every day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us begin, or continue. Whoops, that was an error. Let's continue with the total space of an excerpt from the total space of Vajrasattva. Please chant with me. Phenomena do not move the authentic condition, regardless of what phenomena manifest. Relaxing into exhalation as always makes release possible. Together. Since self-originated wisdom is beyond searching, in liberating itself, it also shows the path of liberation. As we master the Ati Yoga of noticing and releasing, students are drawn to our example like moths to a porch light. Whether we call it Sati Pasati, Proto-Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, or Trekcho, it is only mindfulness and meditation. As we mentioned previously, during each inhalation we are wired to notice. What is it we're wired to notice? We're wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We're wired to notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We are wired to notice the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, and the grotesque. What are we to do with that which we notice? We meditate upon them, but how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, whether we strive to or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, found in both the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord as well as the tippy top of its cervical region. It evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Let's explore this figuratively, for our ancestors evolved to think symbolically. Every time we exhale, every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Any good English teacher will tell you that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So what is a real-world example of non-graspable, vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. Perhaps that is why this archetype of meditation, described in Tibetan as Kuntu Zongpo, Kuntu Zongmo, Yabyum, is depicted as translucent and non-graspable as a rainbow. During your inhalation, please silently and mentally recite sitting tall, thus reminding yourself to generate a vertical traction between your tuchus and your head. During each exhalation, please silently and mentally recite the verb, the 3-syllable verb, relaxing. Let's practice this together as a team for approximately 12 breaths or 12 rounds. I'm going to take a moment to check on the audio. That seems to be adequate. Okay. A delicious fringe benefit of the consistent and correct practice of mindfulness and meditation is as follows. When we rely on concentration and contemplation, our blood collects at our amygdala, at the bottom of our brain, the seat of anxiety and aggression, known scientifically as the filthy McNasties. When we replace concentration with mindfulness, and when we replace active contemplation with mere meditation, our blood shifts away from our amygdala and to our anterior cingulate gyrus. This hunk of meat, just a few centimeters behind our forehead, functions as if it was the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. Perhaps that is why the Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet insist that the highest love is spontaneously and uncontrivedly, is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. And perhaps it is also why this archetype of meditation, described in English as all good one father and mother, are depicted as beautiful. As we breathe in, please silently and mentally recite, notice this. And as we exhale, please continue to recite the 3-syllable verb, relaxing. Consider the active manner in which she, who is the color of a cumulus cloud, appears to be sporting in tantric union. This reminds us that contrivance is always trumped by spontaneity. When we observe the peaceful manner in which her partner, the fellow who is the color of the infinite azure sky, appears to be savoring the same tantric union, we are reminded that not all spontaneity is created equal, and that the scattered variety is always inferior to the centered variety. That is the automatic and effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Furthermore, when our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow in the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. Whoops, I got a sneeze coming up. Oh, excuse me. Our lives become as blissful. As a Buddha's real or imagined paradise of lore. For the remainder of this morning's practice, during each inhalation, please practice the perceptual mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this. And during each exhalation, please practice meditation's release as silently and mentally we recite the 1-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Good morning, James. You are always welcome, and you're allowed to be human. Life is messy. Now that we've climbed to contemplative cruising altitude together as a team, let us meditate as profoundly as Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo. If at any point during the remainder of this morning's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting or Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. The English description of this meditational archetype is known as All Good One, Mother and Father. How are we like the All Good One? Simple. We already possess the neurological architecture that makes mindfulness possible, and meditation possible, and love possible. We already possess the neurological architecture that makes the easy and rapid mastery of the Buddha's path possible. Although we are wired to effortlessly practice mindfulness during each inhalation, our brain can get in the way unless we give it a task to ensure its cooperation. And that task is as simple as silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Similarly, we are already wired to practice meditation's release during each exhalation. And to keep our brain cooperating and not undermining, we give it the simple task of silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Ease functions as a synonym of relax. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything blows, but not in the fun, tingly way. Perhaps that is why so many so-called meditation teachers think it's a really good thing to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Fortunately, there will always be a minority who traverse a different path. Well, let me get back to something else for a second. Perhaps that is why, in their elitism, in their rigidity, in their lazy-mindedness, they make enlightenment out to be something so very difficult and so unattainable. But what if it wasn't? Remember, the Buddha taught that full enlightenment could be mastered in less than 7 years, or 7 quarters, or 7 months, or 7 fortnights, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. And what if that was possible because enlightenment was simply mastery of the Eightfold Path? The seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path are the mindfulness and meditation whose instructions you've received over the last several minutes. The first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is right view, which sounds kind of cryptic. When we read the Buddha's concise meditation manual, known as the Anapanasati Sutta, it becomes evident that this right view is simply one of impermanence. With the changing of the seasons, we see the impermanence of a year. With the waxing and the waning of the moon, we see the impermanence of a month. With the rising and the setting of the sun, we see the impermanence of a day. With the swelling and the sinking of our chest, we feel the impermanence of a breath. Ever changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. As during each inhalation, as effortlessly we practice mindfulness, moment to moment, we can notice that the sights we perceive change, the sounds we perceive change, the sensations we perceive change, the flavors we perceive change, the scents we perceive change. As we breathe in, we could notice that moment to moment, our emotions change, our intentions change, our thoughts change, our recollections change, our fantasies change. Thus making exhalations, meditation, and release all the more easy. Let us consider interdependence. Our choices and our utterances and our deeds can affect the experience of our friends, of our coworkers, and our friends, and our relatives, and our sweethearts. Perhaps that is why 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. The second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is right aspiration, which the Tibetan Dzogchen Lamas describe as wishing love. Wishing love is the essence of mental morality, the effortless byproduct of our correct and consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. The third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path could be described as kind communication. The essence of interpersonal morality, the effortless byproduct of a consistent and correct practice of mindfulness and meditation. The fourth fold of the Eightfold Path could be described as kind conduct, the essence of physical morality, which puts me in remembrance of the teachings of the late Karma Chakme Rinpoche, who insisted that non-violence was the essence of morality, the essence of the pratimoksha vows. It is made possible to as a fringe benefit of a correct and consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. The fifth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path could be described as kind commerce, choosing not to be a proverbial Karen who seeks to get others fired, or the proverbial Chad who strives to drive other concerns out of business. Rather, let us rejoice in kindness and cooperation, the essence of circumstantial morality and the effortless byproduct, the spontaneous byproduct of a correct and consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. It can feel overwhelming, and we can find ourselves asking, just because I want to do what's kind doesn't mean I know what the kind thing is, or how to do it, or when to do it. That brings us to the sixth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. The effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. That, as you have guessed it, is the byproduct of a correct and consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. little boy, I found the mastery of the tying of my shoes to be a daunting task. Yet, after receiving correct instructions and applying consistent effort, now as an adult, I can tie my shoes spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That's all that mastery is. The mastery of any skill, including that of the Eightfold Path. Our mastery of the Eightfold Path can be thought of as having two dimensions. A physical dimension and a mental dimension. Let's meditate. In Buddha's day, sitting cross-legged on the floor was not uncommon, and so mastering it was not difficult. Here in the West, that is an entirely different matter altogether. I'm differently abled, which is great because I learned hacks to make sitting possible and far less arduous. Step 1. Order a Mexican-style yoga blanket. Fold it so that it describes a rectangle that is approximately 16 inches by 24 inches. Set it on the floor, and that way your ankles will not be cranky. Order a buckwheat filled zafu, or circular disc-shaped cushion to rest your tush upon. Set that upon the folded yoga blanket. Just as our wrists can twist, so can our feet. And twist them so that it's the top of the foot that rests on the yoga blanket and not the crown of the ankle. Anybody who has attended a ballet class knows that we turn out from the hips and not the knees. For the hips are ball joints and the knees are only hinge joints. Notice that in the oldest Buddhist statues, the Buddha was not depicted as sitting in the lotus posture, but in the quarter lotus posture. This speaks to egalitarianism, not elitism. Don't force your legs into this posture. Relax into the posture. And within a day or a week or a fortnight, your body will relax into it. The first week, content yourself to practice 5 minutes every 12 hours or so. If you're super clever, if you're clever, you'll set a timer on your phone. And if you're super clever, while you're doing that, you'll participate in one of my streams, either live or pre-recorded, all free on YouTube. The second week, you can boost that to 10 minutes sitting every 12 hours. The third week, 15 minutes. The fourth week, 20 minutes. The fifth week, 25 minutes, and so forth. By the conclusion of the 15th week, both your body and your mind and your schedule will have gently adapted to 75 minutes of sitting every 12 hours. By that time, the mental mastery of the Eightfold Path that you've been training in this entire time just by participating in this live streams could be child's play. Without forsaking work, without forsaking partner, without forsaking children, without forsaking pets, you can master the Buddha's path quickly and easily. Some sights are beautiful, some are ugly. Some sounds are harmonious, others are discordant. Some sensations are pleasurable, some are painful. Some flavors are delicious, others are disgusting. Some scents are fragrant, others are foul. The fundamental duality that the Buddha described as the second noble truth is that of dread and desire. Not the presence of dread and desire, but the tyranny of dread and desire. When we notice whatever sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, or the like that assail us as we breathe in, and as we relax into them as we breathe out, we notice in time the beautiful or ugly, sights are just sights. Harmonious or discordant, sounds are just sounds. Pleasurable or painful, sensations are just sensations. Flavorful, delicious or disgusting, flavors are just flavors. Fragrant or foul, scents are just scents. Happy or sad, emotions are just emotions. Malicious or kind, intentions are just intention. Wise or dull, thoughts are just thoughts. Pleasurable or painful, memories are just memories. Glorious or grotesque, imaginings are just imaginings. This is not a question of suppression. This is not a question of belief. This is the visceral experience of noticing and relaxing in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Let's continue meditating. There are folks who are elitist and predatory and cruel, who will kick you when you are down and tell you that your circumstantial stressors or your physical stressors or your interpersonal stressors or your mental stressors are an indictment. No, they are not. Pleasurable, perilous, or beneficial circumstances are just circumstances. Healthy or sick, the physical is just the physical. Harmonious or discordant, the interpersonal is the interpersonal. Tumultuous or peaceful, the mind is just the mind. And everything that we experience is grist for the mill and fuels our journey of the mastery of mindfulness and meditation. In our enthusiasm to help people with these teachings, let us sidestep the landmine of being coercive and simply flow the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity that is the byproduct of the correct and consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. Sitting was never intended to be an act of asceticism. Listen to your body's cries for help. When you need to adjust your posture, adjust your posture. When you need to stop meditating, then stop meditating. Sometimes your body will cry out for better sleep, or more fresh air, or more sunshine, or more exercise, or more water, or more fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes. Cooperate with your body, and it will serve you well. Let's seal this practice by chanting the excerpt that we began with. Phenomena do not move the authentic condition. Since self-originated wisdom is beyond searching, in liberating itself, it also shows the path of liberation. Where is the pointy thing? Where is the cursor? Here we go. If you feel that I have earned it, that you could give this live stream a thumbs up, you could even support this channel if you wish. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.